This is show 76 of the Cloth Diaper Podcast. Today I'm joined with Derrin from Cooper Rose. Hello, and welcome back to the Cloth Diaper Podcast, a somewhat regular show where we chat with cloth diaper brands, parents, and retailers from around the world to share their cloth diaper story. Show 76. It's September. It's Labor Day weekend. And my kids are going back to school this week, which is absolutely nuts. I have a 6-year-old entering grade 1, and here I am talking to y'all about cloth diapering. But I love it, and I'm so thrilled to have you here. If this is your first time listening to the Cloth Diaper Podcast, let it be known that I do have a book about cloth diapering to help you get started. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Cloth Diapers, Textiles, Washing, and More, and you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and if you live close to me in Prince George, you can even pick one up from my house. The Cloth Diaper Podcast also has an Etsy shop with an array of different projects. I'm also working on some done-for-you content guides, so if you're thinking about opening a retail shop, if you're thinking about expanding into cloth diapering, if you're thinking about, I am working with different brands to create low-cost social media, blogging, and other types of written content to ensure that you can put your best foot forward with cloth diapering. Today, we are joined with Derrin. Derrin is the mama behind Cooper Rose, and we had the pleasure of chatting in January of 2020, and then I lost her recording, and I was so bummed about it. Derrin was not, but I was. I feel like our first interview was so much better, but nonetheless, we're going to chat. She's got a big kid like I do as well, and she's going to share about her story, which is a little bit unique, and she's creating some really amazing products. I have shown a demo of her fitted diaper over on my personal blog, simplymombailey.com, and I can't wait for you to also go check out her products. Who are you? What's your little elevator spiel? How about that beginning?
Yeah, my elevator is way too long always.
25 floors. Go all the way to the top.
So my name's Derrin Moore, and I am the founder of Cooper Rose Baby. I started Cooper Rose because there was just a lack of representation for Black and brown folks in the cloth diapering world. I felt like I started cloth diapering my son because he was having a lot of rashes and just like issues with his skin, not just his butt, like all over, but I wanted to go as natural as possible with everything. And happened upon modern cloth diapering, which I just was looking for the old school pre-folds, and I didn't even know they were called pre-folds. So in that journey of finding them, it was like, more people need to know about this. And that's where Cooper Rose came from. But
your son is not that old. He's only...
Yeah, he's 5.
3. Oh, 5.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, just turned 5 in February. Yeah. Oh, I guess it's now June, so that's a little bit away.
5. But it's been it's been about 5 years. For some reason, I guess maybe when we talked, he would have been 4. Then he just turned probably. 5.
I think he was still 4 when we talked. Yeah,
which always seems so much younger than 5. There's something about once they turn 5 that it makes it feel like suddenly
they're like big. Like they're
you've been at this for years.
Absolutely. Actually, when he turned 5, I was like, oh no, like he's not a toddler. He's a kid. He's a boy.
He goes to school.
Or should, because I mean, if that,
yeah. So you're in Atlanta, Georgia, correct? And you decided to go to cloth diapering. You looked for pre-folds. What got you into designing what is now the Cooper Rose fitted diaper and the lineup that you have?
Yeah. So when I first started, the pocket diaper was the first modern cloth diaper that I saw or dealt with. And so in my quest to have more Black and brown folks cloth diapering, I basically just bought mass manufactured diapers and customize the butt. So I had some that said young, gifted, and brown, some that said brown and bougie. And so they were just like I got them from China and, shipped over, whatnot. And in that journey, started realizing like, well, one, these diapers are coming in plastic. So I'm like getting hundreds of diapers and they're all in these plastic sleeves. And so that didn't feel good. And then it was like, well, if I want to put him in natural fibers, these aren't natural fibers. So like I was making inserts first, I was buying these mass produced, customizing them, but having inserts handmade. Actually, my mom was making them at the time. And so they were hemp and organic cotton, and I would put them on top of the pocket. And it was like, there has to be a better way to do this. And so just gradually, like more and more, I was tell people all the time, like I just went down a rabbit hole. And it was like, wait, that's not good either. Wait, that's not good either.
You know what I absolutely hate though is like, so this is like my 78th recording. Mm-hmm. And this is like the 45th time that I've heard this story of, somebody they meet a pocket diaper as their first experience with cloth diapering. And then they realize that the pockets doesn't have any natural fibers at all. And then suddenly they're handcrafting fitted diapers. And it's just like, sometimes I wish we could just take that piece out. Like, how do we get Cooper Rose? How do we get Derrin straight to that curious Derrin 5 years ago? Like, how do we get you in the right place? But maybe 45 stories later, this is just like kind of like the journey that has to happen, because Derrin 5 years ago might have been terrified by your product.
You're right. You're right. I mean, I think for me, because I didn't know anything at all, maybe if the fitted was the first thing I saw, I don't know if I would have been afraid, because I was willing to do a pre-fold with a pin.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. I was like, I have your diaper actually really close to me here.
Yeah. Oh, cool. It's washed. Oh.
Yeah. I watched it. I took some photos actually. I took photos and I was published photo epilogue about what it looks like is publishing soon. So
I should have got a ding from that. I didn't even.
No. It hasn't published yet. It hasn't published yet.
Cool.
I literally just finished it last night because it's been sitting here in my pile of things to do.
Yeah,
like every busy mom. But what I think is really fascinating, what a lot of people aren't going to know, so we should pivot to this part of your story, is that you don't sew these.
Nope.
You're not a seamstress.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
So how does somebody, because everybody I talk to, Courtney at Accoutrements and Heather at Lily and Frank, they're seamstresses, but that's not you. So what goes into making the fitted diaper?
Oh man, that was a lot. So I learned a lot. I've learned a lot along the way. I actually was still gonna, even though I was mass producing, buying in China. I had the connect there. So I just was like, hey, can you make this other thing? But it was still the same issue, where I would still get these like packages of stuff that, would come with it. And then I wasn't really sure, like, okay, can you give me a the GOTS certification? They couldn't do that. So it was like, okay, maybe I should like look somewhere else for,
yeah, well, and that was a question that somebody had asked me this week about GOTS certification.
Yeah.
And she was like, it seems really sketchy. A lot of brands don't really share it, and it's not really super accessible. But a lot of times what I hear from brands is that it's also really hard for them too.
Yeah.
To get their hands on them from manufacturers, which does increase this layer of like, what's going on out there?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The right supplier should be able to get you a GOTS certification, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I knew that I needed to break down the process a little bit more. So what I wanted to do was to have my mom sew for me. My mom's an amazing seamstress or sewist, and her sister, she was taking care of my grandparents at the time, and she couldn't do it. I went home and like took all this stuff, and they were like, oh yeah, let's do this thing, It didn't work out. And so I looked everywhere for I didn't know at the time that it was called small batch manufacturing, but I looked all over the place in the United States for manufacturing, and either it was the MOQ was like crazy, or they didn't want to deal with it. Like, it was just a lot, you know? And so
you're not the first one to say that. I was just editing some show notes from an episode I did 3 years ago, and it's the same story. Looking for North American based manufacturing is just, it's impossible unless you have the capital to build it yourself.
Yeah. And that's basically what people, I mean, I didn't do, because I think I told you this before. I'm a gymnastics coach first. So my first business is gymnastics and circus. And so it's like I couldn't put those resources in Cooper Rose yet. Like, I needed to see that it was, you know, going to work. And so it was a task. But I finally found, first, there was just a journey. So I've worked with local sewists for a long time, and like, just, can you make 10 diapers? Can you make 10 diapers? I did create a pattern, which was weird because I don't create patterns. So just like what I like from this and what I don't like from that, and just, you know, kind of made this pattern. And so got some consistency, even though I was with, you know, I think at one point I had 3 different sewists in Atlanta, like, making stuff for me.
That's like my little question I had, like, how do you get that consistency? But at the same time, so I've gone to Mother E's factory in St. Catharines, Canada, and they have 4 or 5 different seamstresses in their factory.
Exactly.
And so if you were going to China, it would be a dozen different seamstresses anyways. So like, that consistency, as long as you got the good pattern and you have a quality seamstress, you should be able to replicate.
Right.
The same product.
Yep. I mean, that's the theory. Yeah.
That's the theory. Do you find that theory doesn't hold? Is that what I'm hearing?
In the beginning, it did not. And I would definitely have to. So that was one of the reasons why I created the Cooper Rose Facebook group. So I can like talk to people and like, hey, so I would have oops products, and hey, we had this, you know, a batch made and it just wasn't what it needed to be. So I'll sell these to you for, you know, 50% or whatever. And just, you know, chatting with people and doing like test diapers. And so there was definitely some problems with inconsistency at first.
What I love, because I think this probably resonates so much with your brand's ethos, is that you're trying to find a new home to those diapers. Yeah. Despite the inconsistencies or that it hasn't matched up. Because unfortunately, for a lot of brands, when a batch goes wrong, though that batch just gets written off.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that a lot. I know there was 18 months ago or so, a Pwell manufacturer, because it impacted a lot of brands, kind of had faulty Pwell. And so there was an entire like gap for a lot of brands because the Pwell went bad. And then all these diapers just kind of have to be disposed of, unfortunately. I mean, with Pwell, it's like there's not really a lot of options, but for a lot of brands, they're not going to sell, or they're not going to take their inconsistent seconds. So it's, for us, we don't have that issue. Well, I mean, there's still an issue of inconsistencies, and you don't want people to have something that, you know, they paid full price for. So, but because everything's natural fibers, I mean, you could technically, you know what I mean? Just, even if it's not sewn into anything, you can put it on your baby. Oh yeah, you shove it in a diaper, it absorbs pee. That's all we got to do. Yeah. What's really unique about Derrin's products is the textiles, because you're creating these. We're seeing a lot more of this kind of creative natural fiber textiles, and I'm loving it. But you have this hemp cotton linen blend diaper. When you were in China, if we backtrack it a little bit, you're not getting that GOTS. You weren't getting those fibers at Textiles that you've liked. So now you've brought it back here to America. I'm not even American. I brought it back to Georgia. And what are you doing? How are you sourcing your textiles? What are you looking for in your textiles? And how do you get those that product that you get to your seamstress?
Yeah. So Originally the flax linen that we were using I just was looking for 100% flax linen. Flax linen by itself is similar to hemp in the sense that you don't need fertilizer for it to grow and for it to be.
Really?
Yeah. That's not to say it doesn't happen, but it doesn't need as much as say cotton. Cotton's, when it's not organic, it's pretty bad. And so linen, you don't have that same issue. There's still, because it's not regulated, there may be something. So I was a little cautious, but because it grows well without it, I was using flax linen that wasn't organic.
Where does linen grow?
Well, it can grow anywhere, but the big place where it grows is Lithuania, I want to say. Am I wrong? Don't quote me. In Europe is where it's really known.
Me Googling, what is linen plant?
Yeah. Oh, the plant itself. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. And linen's been around forever. It's one of the first fabrics.
Okay, flax plant. Yeah, oldest cultivated plant in history.
Yeah.
Huh. This is gonna be like a little rabbit hole today. Nobody really uses linen in diapering. Why do you think nobody else is using linen in diapering?
People have a false idea of linen. So when I first wanted to use it, people were telling me, "Don't use that. You can't wash it." And it's you can totally wash linen and you can dry it. It's
getting more trendy, right? Since I had babies and you had a baby, obviously we have babies at the same time. Linen has become very trendy for clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's breathable. It's super sturdy. You can't really tear it. The more you wash it, the stronger it gets and the softer it gets, which is crazy.
Okay, yeah. So that's what you were telling me. So I think the one thing I don't think about linen for diapering is, so you've only used it on the exterior of this diaper.
Right. Yeah.
It feels very thin, compared to the inners. Does that mean it's not as absorbent? Are you using it more in decorative, or what's that story?
Yeah, it is definitely decorative. I love linen, but it also is very absorbent. It's more absorbent than cotton, so it fits kind of to hemp. Actually, probably bamboo, although I don't deal with bamboo at all. But
nobody needs to deal with bamboo. We're good. Let's move on to linen as a trend. Yes.
So hemp, and then linen, and then cotton. So linen's actually more absorbent than cotton. So I use it for a little bit of both, but definitely the decorative part is what. Instead
of using a printed cotton or a printed bamboo velour, which is what I would say most other brands are using.
Yeah.
So it's an eco swap for you to those.
Absolutely.
For those fitted. And then inside you've got a hemp cotton blend. And it's fairly heavy, right?
Very heavy. Yeah. 390 GSM.
Wow.
So yeah. Super heavy.
Yeah. That is heavy. And you've gone for so we'll walk somebody through it. Derrin's main diaper that we're talking about here is a fitted diaper. Mm-hmm. It's snapless. It's one size. And it is a layer of flax, 2 layers of hemp cotton.
In the shell, I've done 2. So this one that you have, I think, has velour on the inside, doesn't it? Yeah. So it's the flax linen on the outside. There's one layer of hemp and organic cotton on the inside, and then the part that touches the baby is the velour. And I kind of went back and forth with the velour because that's organic cotton, but it's got a little bit of polyester, which I was debating, but it's just a tiny bit, so it's okay.
Give and take. It's not a perfect world. It's not perfect. And then you've got a contoured insert that butterflies open. A contoured butterfly insert. Why have you gone with something that opens up? Is there any magic or magical insight for you as a cloth diaper user on why an insert might want to look like this?
Yes, because hemp and organic cotton, so it's super absorbent, which means that it holds a lot of stuff, right? So it's so as far as washing it, it's easier to get everything out when you don't have 4 layers together. So that gap gives you a little bit more cleanliness, and also drying. It dries faster.
And I was also going to tell people that I think in my review, is that you can also customize this fold if you need to be. So if you needed to fold, there's just so many options when you have it just gives you more options. You can fold and customize and put it where you need it, when you need it. And that's kind of like the beauty about fitted diapers and a lot of other. So you're doing small batch manufacturing in Atlanta, Georgia, with naturally sourced textiles, hemp and cotton. There are 2 manufacturers. One's in New Orleans and one's in Florida. So it's close. Oh. Yeah, they're your textiles are coming from Florida and New Orleans. No. Gotcha. Well, actually, textiles coming from Massachusetts. Textiles coming from Massachusetts, and I basically ship them right to the manufacturers. But the manufacturers, one's in Louisiana and one's in Florida, so close to me. Okay, so we have American sourced textiles manufactured in the United States. That's so cool, though, that you've found like different people in different areas that you're working with to create this product. And I think when we talked last time, you had kind of talked about waste in the manufacturing of products. Did you not? And what's a little bit about that story about reducing your brand's waste? Because when you produce a diaper, especially at Pwell cuts, there's a lot of waste. A lot of waste. Yeah. So we, it's actually how we started nursing pads. So the little like remnants, a nursing pad is 4.5 inches wide or diameter. So we can make nursing pads out of the waste or the remnants from the diaper. I think my computer's about to. And then working with small batch manufacturers, they work with other companies to basically give their scraps to, which nobody's doing. Well, there are some bigger manufacturers that are doing it, but not much. One of the manufacturers actually teaches, they have a school. And so they use our remnants for their students to teach them. We've also given fabric to a nonprofit that uses, weave the fabric. They make it into longer fibers to weave and make art projects. So there's so much that you can do with with scraps that bigger manufacturers are just not doing, and they're just throwing them away, So I love that part of it. Say hey.
Hey.
Hi. Like Derrin's son has joined, and your son is the name of your brand, right?
His middle name actually is Cooper. So when I didn't know if we were having a boy or girl, and we had 2 names, and if he would have been a girl, his name would have been Cooper Rose. My grandmother is Rose, so we put the name for the brand.
Okay, just checking in on where he's at. Okay, so you're manufacturing, and you know what? It was funny you mentioning the nursing pads, because I follow a small brand, and she just announced that she's got nursing pads, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then as you say, oh, it's a great use for scraps, I'm like, oh, okay, that's why she probably just dropped them on the website, because she's also cutting all the scraps. So one thing I know a little bit about textiles is that you can buy bolts and there's end of rolls. Do you do any of that kind of end of roll shopping to reduce your impact, or are you buying bolts when it comes to textile sourcing?
Yeah, I definitely buy bulk. I don't necessarily look for end of bolt. I did a little bit with the linen. I feel like it's a little bit easier. With the hemp and organic cotton, to me, it just doesn't make sense to buy it if you're not buying bulk.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I guess there's a local seamstress to me who manufactures linen dresses, and that's how she buys end of roll linen to make her dresses. And so that's why I kind of knew about that. So what has been your biggest challenge owning a cloth diaper business, maybe being a Black woman in a cloth diaper business?
The biggest challenge, I feel like it's just,
I can clap.
You can snap.
You're so good at it.
I feel like it's, I'm always educating, and which is great. But if I had a product that like everybody just needed and knew they needed and everybody used as a business, it would be great. But because this is, and it's why I got into it anyway, so I'm not mad about it, but it's definitely a challenge.
It's like, it becomes, you're not the first one this year. I've chatted with a couple of women who run diaper banks, and sometimes it just becomes a little bit emotionally exhausting, feeling like you're being super repetitive all the time and not feeling like there was the progress that maybe you wanted there to be in the mainstreamness of it. I can really like kind of relate to some of that feeling of just like, we're not there yet and there's still a lot of work to do. When we had chatted last, you had talked about cloth diapering in the Black community, which is something that I've heard also from Jade at Crunchy Culture and several others about just the awareness or the lack of awareness, and that a whole bringing up of education in there. And what does that look like for you? And how are you doing that in your local community to support cloth with I guess Black people are not the only community, probably. There's probably lots of other ethnics.
Yeah. We actually started a collective, I guess is well, in the name it says collective. So Mama Soko Collective.
Oh, yes, I know that name. Probably from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's for Black natural parenting families, just to learn. So for me, and I think a lot of Black people, culturally, this is how we survived longer than other folks because especially in the United States, we didn't have the resources that other groups of people had. So all of the things that are natural, just because you got it, you know what I mean? Like you got boobs with milk, and so you feed your baby, and so there are reasons why we were kind of like taken away from that, and so there's all this stigma attached to natural parenting, and so we wanted to. Just not just cloth diapering, but all of natural parenting, wanted to just bring some awareness around that for Black and brown folks. And so before COVID, we were doing events in the city, and mostly around the Black like natural parenting weeks. So like Black baby wearing week, Black breastfeeding week. I'm missing something. Breastfeeding, baby wearing. There's something else, but I can't think of it right now. Oh, there's a Black diapering group week now, but it wasn't in COVID, before COVID time. So we did 3 events a year, breastfeeding, baby wearing, and then we called it Cafe Soko, and that was just general natural parenting. So that's what I feel like our Cooper Rose's project, as far as like community-based events, that's one of the main things that we do. And it's hard. It's no, baby. I feel like it's exactly what you said, as far as like just being emotionally draining, because you know that it's something that could help people, and there are people who look like you and they don't want to listen. you know?
Oh yeah. And like, I mean, you started this off kind of like you didn't have the privileges to do the other, right? So you had to cloth diaper. And now we're in 2021 when Pampers and Huggies just announced that diaper prices are increasing 10% in June. And so diaper prices are now up like 25% over 2019. And poverty in the United States and poverty amongst Black and Brown and Indigenous people has never been as bad as it is. And so we have these layers of, so actually I met with a woman yesterday about how do you, this is like probably personal, it's fine. How do you manage, like negotiate with yourself, having a higher priced product in an industry that is so targeted towards saving money? I know this is a challenge that I have just because like my book, I wrote a book on cloth diapers and I'm like, well, I want it to be accessible. I need to value my time and what I put into it. So I kind of really skirt my profit margins to do what I do. But that's not always a good boundary. So how do you, as a creator, kind of justify the product that you're putting out and then the community at large?
You know, there's a lot, actually. There's like, I feel like if I really explained all of it, it would take me days.
That's okay.
But I think, one, I know that I'm not, I know that in order to make the diaper, those costs just have to be there, you know? And for me, it's just like you said, for your time and effort and, you know, running the business, like you gotta get something back from it. But I also, even within like marketing my own brand, I talk about how accessible cloth diapering can be. Like you don't have to use a fitted diaper. It's cool, you know, and it's easier and it's nice, but or I shouldn't say easier. It could be easier for some folks, but there's so many other ways to cloth diaper, and so like that Mama Soko piece for me is I feel like it's, I don't want to say that because I'm doing that, it's okay to charge more, you know?
No. Well, and I always like, for me as a blogger, I find it so hard to talk about high-end products because I often get this rebuttal. There's no way I could afford that. But there are so many people who can't afford it. So there is a market of people who are buying your diapers who can afford to pay for the textiles and pay for, and in an ideal world, that's the important community work that we want to do, is to be able to have everybody afford your product. And so I guess I justify it to myself as like, I'm not actively price gorging the community. Like I'm not actively going out there and tripling, bringing in quadruple income on a product that costs pennies to make. Right. I was just kind of like, it was just a conversation I had yesterday with a mom about, she was like, why don't you put your book? And I was like, because there's no profit margin. There's literally no profit margin. Cause I just wanted to kind of justify the two things. So getting it into a retailer doesn't make sense because they would have to charge $26 for it. And then I don't feel good. So we're going to do what we're going to do. We're just going to be okay with it and find other ways. And that's like the beauty of cloth diapering, is really the most accessible way of cloth diapering is not something we can sell at all. We can't sell towels and t-shirts with reusable wool pants, and we really can't sell that, but we can advocate that those are options, that you can literally use anything in your house, put it on baby's bum and have a clean, healthy bum, right? Yeah,
that's absolutely right. I mean, it's, you know, you go to the mall and you might buy a dress that's $200 because you're feeling like it, you know? Or you might say, hey, I don't need that $200 dress. I just need something to get by, and you buy that $10 dress.
What is the thing that you love most about being in the cloth diaper space and having a cloth diaper brand?
Oh, man.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
Is that what he said? I didn't even hear it.
He said, and here it comes, I think. Here comes the answer.
The community aspect. I mean, you know, the obvious stuff, like just, you know, being able to feel good about the product itself, and all of the stuff from before. But the community, like, I mean, if you meet someone who cloth diapers, you feel like they're like you've known them. You can talk for hours just about a diaper. So
what is that?
Like,
I mean, and anything really like in this like natural baby space. I mean, I see on your website, right? You've got bonnets. Like I had a little bonnet for my kid, and if I met another mom who had a bonnet, I'd be like, "Where is that bonnet from? Who made that bonnet? Let's tell that whole story." It's like one of those baby gear gizmos that really kind of like suddenly you've got a friend.
Yes. So I think, if I had to, I mean, I know that there's like, there are problems in everything, there's going to be drama somewhere, but for the most part, that the community part is cool.
And so the best place to connect with you, to find your diapers is?
Actually, I guess the best place to connect and actually get a feel for who we are is Instagram, probably. Cooper Rose Baby on Instagram, but we're Cooper Rose Baby everywhere. So www.cooperrosebaby.com. Facebook is cooperrosebaby.com. I don't really do Twitter, but it's there too.
It's okay. Awesome. Well, we'll check that out. And actually, as I pull up your Instagram here, these watercolorings that you had done are beautiful. Like, talking amazing collaboration. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
He's my old tattoo artist. He's like,
no way.
From tattoos to drawing babies.
Like the patterns of life. I will let you go to your children. He looks like he wants to spend some time with you, and I will see you around the web. Thank you for making this happen today, Derrin.
And that was Derrin with Cooper Rose cloth diapers. You can shop Cooper Rose online. You can read my review over at www.simplymombailey.com. I'll include that link in the show notes. And if you're not signing up for our weekly newsletter, where are you? Go sign up for that newsletter. Leave a review if you would care to. And I will see you over on Instagram.